everyone. This is Crystal Swearingen, the host of your podcast, Crystal Spot. I am super excited to bring to you our new guest today, Lynita Mitchell-Blackwell. Lynita is an intuitive business coach who leads her clients to live life on fire, which I stand for that, for the ultimate successful life accumulated with peace, joy, and fulfillment. She has built an award-winning law firm, a publishing house, is a #1 bestselling author, CPA, and an ordained New Thought minister. You guys thought I was busy? She's super busy. And she's nationally recognized as an outstanding community leader, which I love, love, love. Based on her latest book, Lynita loves sharing the formula to the ultimate successful life with peace, joy, and fulfillment. Thank you so much for being on our show today, Lynita.
Thank you so much for having me, Crystal. I am really excited to be here.
The first thing I thought when I read your bio was like, I feel like I do a lot of stuff. I'm not doing anything. In comparison, the things you are doing are magnificent. Tell us a little bit about your story and kind of how this started, this journey.
Absolutely. So, as you said, I've done a lot. I have had the most amazing life, wonderful, supportive family, friends, and community. And they all had a common theme of support, which was if I worked hard, that I would be successful. And initially, Crystal, they were absolutely right. And it worked out great for me. I did well in school. I got a good job. I got enough experience to start my own business, which then became more businesses. Beautiful family, right? The problem was that I was working nonstop, and I intertwined my self-esteem and self-worth with the accolades and the hoorays. And so the more, oh, Lynita, you're just so great. I just love having you, the more I heard that and the more awards and the degrees, the more I felt like my life meant something, that I was worthy, right? And so I did more to get more of that. And so while I was following the calling on my life that I truly believe that God placed upon me, as far as the substance of the things that I was doing, when I published my first book, Leading Through Living, a guide for women seeking growth through leadership, talking about how I used my community service and professional organization experience to supplement what I was not getting at work, because my first job out of undergrad was during merger. And so everybody was scared for their jobs. They weren't trying to train anybody new. It really took off. People felt like it was their story and it resonated. And so that's how I became a speaker, and I got to travel the world. And people would ask me, like, was it hard to write a book? No, it wasn't. Can you help me with mine? Of course. Can you publish mine? Okay. And so that's how I became a publisher.
Wonderful.
And during one of my international travels, I saw how people of color, specifically women of color, were being depicted. And that I know that most of the people that I know are like you, successful, smart, kind, funny, right? But that wasn't what they were seeing overseas. And so I came back fired up, and I said to my friends and my family, y'all, we're going to get these wonderful stories and bios of people, and we're going to put out a newsletter. And the newsletter was over 90 pages.
Oh,
And
wow.
at that point, you don't have a newsletter, you have a magazine.
Yeah.
But I didn't have the infrastructure for a magazine. Literally, Crystal, my first issue of our magazine, which was called Bold Favor, it was done in Microsoft Word.
Hey, whatever you got to do.
What we had to do, right? But people really liked the concept. And so we had people coming in and helping. And we published for 5 years. And we got to a place where we were being requested to cover amazing events like the Soul Train Music Awards. We did that for 2 years.
Wow.
But it came to a place where it all came crumbling down because I was exhausted. There were some nights I was only getting like 2 or 3 hours of sleep. And so I was running my law firm full time. I had my accounting firm. I had the publishing house. I had the media company. Plus, I was speaking and writing books. I'm a wife, a mom, and we have a church. And I'm the daughter of elderly parents. So, yeah. So my body started to break down. My hair started to fall out.
Mm-hmm.
And all I did was put on wigs because I was hearing, oh, you're just so great. You're so wonderful. Right? And when my nails split down the middle, I just put on acrylics and I was cute. Don't
Yeah.
tell me, right?
You're covering the symptoms.
Absolutely. I was covering it all. But the one thing that I could not cover, Crystal, was when my daughter, who at the time was 6 years old, found me passed out in the middle of the floor from exhaustion.
Oh my goodness.
And yeah, it was horrible.
Mm-hmm.
It was absolutely horrible because thank God she did not have the awareness at that age to realize that mama was just out. She got a blanket from her bed and put it over my body and a little pillow and put it under my head. And she kissed me on the forehead and said, "Good night, mama."
Mm.
And the only thing that I had strength to do was say, "Good night, baby." I could not get up and put my child to bed.
Mm.
And that's when I knew something had to change. But I got to be honest with you, I knew something needed to change, but I did not have the tools or the awareness. I didn't know where to start. And so I went back to what I knew, which was that crazy schedule and more awards, more accolades. And finally, my body was like, I'm done. And my fibroids, which at that point were the size of grapefruits, then became something totally just terrible. I developed stage 4 endometriosis.
Oh my goodness.
And it was so bad when they went in to do the surgery, they couldn't do it. They had to sew me back up. And they said the endometriosis had created like a cement structure so that my uterus, my cervix, the back wall of my vagina, and my bowel were solidified.
Oh.
Yeah. And so they had to put me on a regimen of, it was horrible medication. One of them was actually a cancer drug to try to burn off as much of it as possible. So then 6 months later, they went back and they did what they could. So the recovery from that was brutal. And I had a lot of time to think and to pray. And during that time, I found the help that I needed. God sent me who I needed. I worked with a performance coach, Rowena Silvera Beck. And for 2 years, she helped me to take my list of everything that I was involved in, which was 7 pages, single space.
Oh, wow.
Yes, ma'am. And we got it down to 2. And I know that sounds wild and crazy to you and to your listeners, but I bet most of you have 5 pages. And let me tell you why. Because we think of our roles as just a single role.
There's
It's
so
not.
many nuances in that one.
Thank you. Exactly. Because if you're a mom, you
Yeah.
are also taxi to and from school and any events. You're also the person who makes sure everybody gets at least one good meal during the day,
Mhm.
right? You're doing the grocery shopping. There might be some laundry. Even if you have somebody coming in, you still have to make sure and hold the person accountable that they're doing a good job. There are so many parts to that. And so my mom list was 12.
Mm.
So, and that's with a small child. So it could be even more if you have a newborn, right? So it took 2 years. And then once I was done, that's when I started looking at the fact that there were so many other people like me, men and women,
Mhm.
who had a faith-based background, who worked hard and were actually following the formula, the checklist that was given to most of us. If you work hard, you make money, you'll be successful, and you'll live happily ever after. But ever happily is not ever after. It is
Mhm.
temporary. And as soon as the euphoria from that last thing is gone, you're on to your next fix. You're looking for the
Mhm.
next high. And I was like, I got to come out of this cycle. And so I started working with Jill Flowers, who is a soul activist.
Mm.
And what we came up with was I was not looking for happiness, I was seeking joy.
Yes.
And
There's
joy
difference.
is an inside job. That's nothing that anybody can give you, right, Crystal?
Mhm.
That's something that has to be within. And so the life that I was looking to build was a life full of peace, joy, and fulfillment. And as I got into it and I was sharing with other people, it was really touching them, because I'm not asking them to go off into the Himalayan mountains,
Yeah.
forsake all that they've worked for.
It's an
You
inside
know,
job.
yeah, it's an inside job. And I still have my house. I still work. I
Yeah.
have my firm. And so I am asking you to do what I do.
Yes.
I am saying you can have all the wonderful things that you've worked for, and you should have those things.
Mhm.
What I'm saying is they can't define who you are, what you are, and how you serve. And I wish that was my term, but that's something Paul Selig says in his books. But it applies here,
Yeah.
because I I had to pull that feeling of accomplishment being tied to self-worth. They had to be
Mhm.
pulled apart. And now I live in joy. And that the basis of that, the foundation of that, is gratitude and thanksgiving. And so
Yeah.
that's what I do. I share that with other people on wonderful platforms like yours.
I absolutely love that. We have so much to unpack here. One of the first, I was very fortunate when I was younger. My mother had a book that I read, and it said that women will do more for praises than raises. And it
Oh,
has always stuck with me. And
mhm.
I look at my own life, and I'm mentoring a young lady now. I'm actually going to send her this podcast, Taylor. So when you hear this, that's a shout out to you. And I said, when you're young, they always want to be like, you're such a rock star. Go out there, get these awards, do say yes, 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 like that 7-page list. And they'll say, well, do it while you're young. And then the guilt that gets put on you, well, I should do this while I'm young, or I should do this before I have children, or I should do this. And it's like you're shooting all over yourself, as they
Yeah,
say, and you're not living a joyful life. And I think what you said was so important, that we chase happiness, but happiness is never promised. And the Bible talks about joy. It doesn't say anything about you're going to be happy. And that is an inside job. And so many women, especially our readers and the ones I talk to, and our even our advertisers I talk to, who are so overwhelmed they can't come up with the design because they have their checklist is 18 pages. I'm like, let me help you. We don't like to accept help either sometimes. So it's wonderful that you met someone, you got with a performance coach, you took that time. I always say, clear the slate.
yes,
You clear
absolutely, yes,
everything. Like I
yes.
had recently, even with the podcast, we met through a matching program, and I had like 50 interviews set up and they weren't syncing my calendar. So I was having like so many.
Oh
And I said,
no.
no, 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 clear everything. And
Yeah,
those who want to come back will come back, but I have to just knock everything out, just take a week and just
yes,
get myself organized. And we have to give ourselves permission to do that. And so
absolutely.
you still do have the law firm. That's still something you actively do?
Absolutely, yes. And going back to something that you said, giving yourself grace, you
Mm-hmm.
know, during this whole process, it became readily apparent to me that I got caught up because I was living according to somebody else's checklist, right?
Exactly.
And I was trying to achieve a level or a standard of perfection that could not be, because that was not for me. That was not my list. And so I had to create a new list. And that one was based on excellence. Excellence, the underlying pinning of that is grace, because it's a sliding scale depending on where you are in life and what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
What's excellent today is not going to be excellent tomorrow, and it wasn't excellent yesterday. And so the only time that we have any control over is right now, this moment right
Mm-hmm.
here. Krista, I have found, and it's not just me, but I'm closing my eyes because I like using myself as an example, because I don't like putting other people on
Of
Front
course.
Street, right? I found that I had spent so much time planning for tomorrow and 5 years and the 10-year plan and strategizing, that the moment right here was getting by me. And I
Mm.
could not really focus on the person that I was sitting across from, the experience that I had paid good money for,
Yeah.
and what's in. I could not be fully present. And it wasn't until I released the idea of tomorrow, not to say that I don't make plans, I
Mm-hmm.
just don't spend a whole lot of time in planning mode. I spend more time in the being mode. Whoever and whatever is in front of me, that is priority. because I now understand that every person that I meet, every experience that I have is for me. It's for the other person too. But the perspective has to start here because I am responsible for me. I am the only person over whom I have 100% control. That means that I have to be fully present to get what I'm supposed to out of the exchange so that I can then use it to be a blessing later. But first, now has to be taken care of because tomorrow can't come. Not won't, it can't.
Yeah.
Because if you're too sick, God forbid you die.
Yeah.
All those plans, they don't mean a thing.
Got to be present. Wow. I feel like this is something that we need to be teaching our children and the next generation because I'm a Gen Xer. I won't say my age, but
If it makes you feel better, me too.
yeah. So, but we had to be patient. We had to
Mm-hmm.
live in the experience of the now. And now all of a sudden it's like everyone's addicted to this and
Oh my
that,
gosh.
all of the things. And I feel like there's so many opportunities of information that's valuable that can help create knowledge if we
Yes.
knew how to take the time to process it. We've
Yes.
got the world at our fingertips. We have the ability to get so much wisdom,
Yes.
but we're not present to receive it and listen to it. And I'm so thankful we're talking today. I always ask God to put the people in front of me that I need to meet and be around. And this podcast has been wonderful because there are days where I feel I'm alone. And you are, like you said, you're responsible for you. That's the only person you're 100% responsible for.
Yes.
But through this platform, I've been able to meet so many amazing women. Because when you talk about that exhaustion in your life, that resonates. And I think it resonates with a lot of people here. And that's one of the main reasons I started the magazine 5 years ago, was there was a lot of business magazines locally where I live, but no one was focusing on the women in business because, like you said, there's different roles. You have the wife, the mother, you have like the chauffeur, like all the things. And don't be too ambitious, but don't be unambitious.
Yes.
I didn't make that word up. I don't know if that's a word. We have to
I
Google.
like it though. Let's stick with it.
We'll claim it as the word right now.
That's right.
But when I was reading your bio, one of the things that came to me is with being an attorney, a CPA, a minister, and you're all about helping people in service.
Yeah.
And I
That's right.
love that.
Well,
So
thank you.
in your new book, what are some things that book talks about? And I know that you have quite a few components of it, but share with us like what we'll get out of reading this new book.
Absolutely. So the book is entitled Live Life on Fire, The Ultimate Guide to a Successful Life Full of Peace, Joy, and Fulfillment. And the book is a cheat sheet on how to answer the question, what am I living for?
Mm.
Because like I said, most of us were told that it was stuff. You'll get the house you want, the car you want, even the family you want, right? And while those things are beautiful, they are wonderful, but they are still externally determined and defined.
Mm-hmm.
And as we all know, the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away.
Yeah.
So we don't actually own any of those things. We are stewards over them during the defined time that we have them. And so we're grateful for them. But then that means that there is something else that we have to aspire to live for, right? And so I break the book up into 4 sections to get to that last part, what we're really looking for, which is a life of awe. And those 4 sections are silence, meditation, being, and flow.
Mm.
We spend so much time being on the ready that we never take the time to just be quiet and to be fully present so that we can appreciate where we are right now. It is in silence that we realize that even in challenge, no, especially in challenge, that those are the moments where we're growing the most, where we're learning the most, where we now have the foundation to be everything that we were set to be. I tell people now, we all are familiar with the term, every cloud has a silver lining.
Mm-hmm.
Crystal, what if you're the silver lining?
Yes.
that all of this that is happening is for you, not happening to you, but for you,
Mhm.
to prepare you for the next thing. And so silence helps us to really absorb that, to process it. And just like when we're eating a good piece of chicken, spit out the bones and enjoy the meat, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then with meditation, I found that my prayer life really up leveled once I stopped talking at God all the time and started listening.
Mhm.
Um, I am a huge supporter of the Art of Living Foundation, and the founder, Sri Ravi Shankar out of Bangalore, India, divides prayer and meditation like this. Prayer is talking to God, meditation is listening. My grandmother used to say, you have 2 ears and one mouth, so you should
Mhm.
do twice as much listening as you do talking. And so now I do a lot of sitting quietly and listening to what God has to say. And that is true meditation.
Definitely.
It gives direction, rejuvenation. You can be healed, and not just emotionally and spiritually, it is also physical healing as
Mhm.
well. But you got to give yourself an opportunity for that. And then there is just being. And we talked a lot about that before, with being present right here, right now, appreciating what's going on in front of you, taking it in, which leads us to living a life in flow. And so the guessing games are over. We
Yeah.
know why we're in a certain room. We know when a person comes in front of us that there is some exchange to be had. We can fully, confidently share our story so that we can live a life that is in awe. And that encompasses all our skills, gifts, talents, and resources to be the person that is living this model life that's full of peace, joy, and fulfillment. One that is based on our own checklist that we created with the help and in coordination with what God has for us.
I I'm in awe.
Well, thank you. But
It's like,
it
I don't know if I wanna cry or pray or what, because everything you said just touched my soul so tight because, we're all going through I always say I who have listened to this season or read this year's issues of the magazine, going through a spirit of transition right now with, with where I'm at with my life. And I love what you said about meditation is listening to God because I've never thought about it in that way. And someone recently at a women's leadership at my church said, pray. She says, praise, repent, ask, and yield. Like, wait for that
I
response.
like
And I
that.
was like, whoa. I said, I don't think I'm hitting all four of these. So it's so important, like you said, that prayer and the meditation. And so many of us, I know for me, I was hiding from a past and hiding from the things that I thought God couldn't see, even though he sees all. um, that I was hard to be in silence. And
Yes.
my involvement as a mother and as a partner and as a businesswoman and all the things that I endeavor in has really grown exponential once I learned to sit in silence.
Yes. Yes, Krista, you got it. I love it.
And I want your book. So tell us where we can get your book.
Absolutely. So if you come to my website, LynitaMitchell-Blackwell.com, you can join my email list. You can get copies of my book, or you can get it on Amazon. And it is in all forms. So Audible, Kindle, paperback, hardback.
Love it.
Let's connect.
Yes. Are you the one reading it on the Audible?
I am reading my own book.
Oh, that's really cool.
Well, thank you. But I have to give Rowena her credit because I was going to hire somebody and she was like, no, they need to hear it from you. The
Oh,
inflections, the pain, the coming out of that has to be personal. And I
yes.
said, okay.
I love it, love it, love it. Thank you so much for sharing your time with us and your expertise. And I hope let's not make this the last time we speak because
Absolutely.
I feel like we need to
Yes.
do this again. And I am going to get that book
Thank you.
immediately. And you guys, please make sure to check this out. Share this with a friend of yours, anybody you know who's needing some I don't hate using the word balance, but needing some perspective on how they're
Mhm.
living their life. These are some
Yes.
great tools and tips, and I can't wait to share it and put it out there for everyone to hear. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.